audio, video. Oh, I have to pause and split. Schmodio. Don't forget the Schmodio. Okay. All right, here it is. We begin in 3, 2, 1.
Unless I grievously misremember, there's a little cantina on the other side of yon rimrocks. And if I'm in luck, there'll be customers there amenable to drawing up in a circle around a deck of cards.
Ah!
The Morning Stream. Don't eat that. It's Pluto.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to TMS. It's Monday, August 21st, 2023. I'm Scott Johnson. That's Brian Ibbett.
Hello.
Hello, Brian. Enjoy Brian while you have him. All right.
That's right. Yeah, you only get half of me this week.
You get 2 out of 4 Brians.
Exactly. Yes.
And turns out you're only gonna get 3 out of 4 Scotts because Thursday just so happens I have a doctor's appointment and Wendy won't be here and you won't be here. So we're not doing a show on Thursday.
Yeah, nothing Thursday. All right, fair enough. Well, good.
But Wednesday,
then I don't feel bad. Then so it's
don't feel as bad.
25% less Scott, 50% less Brian, unless you're one of the lucky few people who are going to hang out with me in Asheville, North Carolina, in which case you get like 400% more Brian than you normally get.
Yeah, this is a real test for people. If you already like Brian, chances are more Brian is a good thing. Yeah, if you are super bugged by Brian, you will love to learn that you shouldn't be bugged by him. So another positive experience. Then there'll be a small.
You think so? I think it's just gonna amplify. Like, freaking Brian. Why is he taking so long in the one bathroom that we have in these 2 buildings?
Oh my gosh, how many bathrooms do you have? That stuff freaks me out. Do you have enough?
No,
bathrooms?
We have 6 bathrooms. We have 6 bathrooms and 8 bedrooms. So bathrooms will be aplenty. And if they're all closed, there is a hot tub.
Oh my Lord! All right. Just remember, if it smells chlorinated, that means there's pee in it. That's what I was told. That's what I've been told.
That's correct. Yes.
If it smells clean, you're good. You can get in.
Exactly. Right.
Yep.
It's the smell. It's when chlorine's working on cleaning your pee that it smells.
Yeah.
That's what. Is that what you've learned?
That's what I've been told. I hope I've been told the truth all these many years.
Okay.
Well, we got. We're gonna get in whatever we can get in these next 2 days together. Wednesday, Bobby will be sitting in for Brian, but it'll be a fun week nonetheless. All right. And I'm in a great mood, and I don't know why. I don't understand why I shouldn't be in a great mood. I slept like shite.
Oh, really?
I did, and also my doctor, which is part of this appointment, has me on some new medication for. It's a whole thing, but it's mostly made me feel gross all the time, but not this morning. I feel great.
Cool.
I feel real good. I don't know why. I can't explain it. Maybe it's these Altoids. I had an Altoid this morning. Maybe that's what did it. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, yeah. Well, those are curiously strong.
That's what I've heard.
Curiously
strong mint. But anyway, we're happy to be here with you fine folks, and I would like to ask a nature question.
Ooh.
About nature. All right.
Right.
You and I are not opposed to having topics dealing with nature.
We appreciate nature. We believe in it. We support it. We're basically pro nature.
Yeah, I think we're even part of nature in a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Human beings.
The way we are.
Human beings are as much part of this world as anything else, even though we kind of F it up sometimes. But nature being what it is, sometimes it's worth talking about. By the way, speaking of nature, I hope all our California West Coast friends are okay. A lot of deluge going on, a lot of water.
Jeez, if it's not fires, it's heavy, torrential downpours or excessive heat or hurricanes.
Yep.
Hurricanes in the case of California. Did they end up closing Disneyland? By the way, we were talking to.
I don't know. Did they? Maybe.
We were talking to Senior Geek Gary. We were talking to Gary about it on Saturday morning, and they were talking about potentially closing Disneyland.
Let's see. Disneyland closed early due to Hurricane Hillary, so not entirely. Knott's Berry Farm and Six Flags closed entirely for the day.
Wow. Not so much magic on that mountain.
No. The Magic Kingdom was a little bit not so magical.
Yes, exactly. It was an hour less magical.
I was thinking last night they should rename California Old Testament because they've got the fire, the hurricane, the earth. Oh, they had an earthquake yesterday in the middle of all this, so that's another thing they had. Pretty sizable one. They got it all. They got all the Old Testament curses. All they need now is a river of blood and like those locusts. Remember from Vegas a few years ago? Get those out there.
The grasshoppers or the locusts. Yeah, the plague of grasshoppers all over Vegas. Which I was there 2 weeks later and saw one grasshopper.
It's so weird. The videos we saw made it seem like you were going to be digging through corpses.
They were clustered around everything. Like every, at the swimming pool, it was basically going to be a layer of grasshoppers on the top of the water.
Yeah, like you'd wade through them, like you'd be up to your knees in corpses, but it didn't happen. Anyway, we wish you all the best, okay? I know it's not quite as bad as Florida's ding-dong hanging out in the middle of the eye of a hurricane, but still, lots of flooding and weirdness. Also, a lot of dumb people online. Can I express one complaint?
Oh, sure, yeah.
All right. Here's the deal. People started posting videos of what looked like horrible flooding moments, like water rushing through small towns. And people online were going, oh my gosh, the devastation. I mean, they were believing it. They were that tour from Universal Studios, the one with the water.
The flash flood tour? You're on the bus and you're watching the water come.
Yes. And I realized that the ratio of people who don't know that wasn't real is the same ratio of people who have never been to Universal Studios before. Because it was obvious to me. You were looking outside of the tram thing or the car, and you could tell immediately what it was. The shark, the people are taking pictures of the Jaws thing and saying that was part of it. There was a shark in the water. And there are people going, the devastation.
A giant monkey is terrorizing, reaching in this earthquake in this subway station, too.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, the subway station where that water breaks through and pours through. People are like, this is the Metro now, L.A. Metro something, something.
Were they really? They did that one, too?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And people are going,
how did they work the Cylons into that, by the way? I'd like to know.
They never filmed that part, funny enough.
Oh, darn.
Weirdly enough, they never showed anything that would make it obvious, but there were people in there going, pray for California, pray for California.
Oh,
I'm like, okay, go ahead and pray for California, but don't pray for this part.
Right, exactly. The Universal Studios backlot ride is doing just fine. Your prayers are not needed.
Yeah, and then one guy posted this one and got a ton of action on his tweet, and it said... and everybody kept saying, that's Universal Studios. He goes, where's the lie? And the point was, in his statement, he said, this is happening right now in Studio City, is what he said.
Well, okay, so that is accurate.
Yeah, but that's the state of the bullshit in our world.
Yes, exactly.
Where's the lie? And every time anybody would say
double down.
And he did it like 12 times in his thread. Where's the lie? Point out the lie. Where's the lie? Like the lie is you suck, you turd. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, here's my nature moment. And we've had some rain as well. I don't know if it's tied to this, but it seems like a lot of extra rain the last couple of days. And I was out walking the dog near a ravine that's sort of, we have that lake, and then when it gets too high, it has a kind of a runoff. I don't know what you call it. It's like a little metal shelf they built, and they can raise it or lower it.
Oh, okay.
So that if they need to let water out, they can lower it, and down it goes.
Like
and it goes
almost like a lock, but not.
Right. Or a movable dam. I don't know what to call it. There's probably a word for this. Anyway,
usually they have like a circular kind of thing with those,
and I think this one's like, I've seen it move before. I'm pretty sure it's like someone's doing it from an office somewhere. It's like a remote thing. Yeah, they don't have to have people go out.
All right.
But anyway, this thing will have water in it quite often, especially during the months where we have rain, and that was happening. And I was out walking the dog, and there's a part of it toward the end of it where there's a park. And then it goes underground and then off to whatever aquifer it goes to. And there it gets a little stagnant, like some stuff's growing up in there, and it kind of sits quite a bit. And I look in there, I see some kind of, I thought it was mushrooms, like a cluster of mushrooms to me. I get closer, and it's snake eggs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like 30 of them.
Oh, geez.
All bunched up, and no snake mom
and
or
no
dad.
snake around to protect these things?
I mean, maybe they were, but again, high grass, it's hard to tell. I wasn't going to get in there and look because who knows? And I'm not even sure what kind of snake it was. For all I know, they were just garters, no big deal.
Yeah.
They ain't going to hurt anybody.
Probably.
but they may have been something else. I don't know. But anyway, I saw this huge clutch
yeah.
of eggs, and my first thought was, I'm 100% sure that if some idiot 14-year-old chode bag teenager sees these eggs, he will take a stick and break them apart. I just know it. I'm just convinced of it. Like, I'm going to see it and go, nature. I will keep walking and admire these eggs. But this kid's going to see it, maybe like I would have when I was 14, and go,
and say,
ew, look what's inside. Ew, these are half-built snakes. Ew, whatever. And for a hot second, I was like, should I call animal control or some city something that protects stuff like this? Is there animal protection?
It's animal
services?
control. Yeah, I mean, they don't have to just get stray dogs and cats. Animal control helps with all sorts of situations like this.
Do you think they would move it, or do you think they would tell me to pound
or
sand?
lose it? Do you think they'd move it or lose it?
They would move it or lose it.
I don't know if they would do anything. Yeah, they might. Yeah, I know exactly. Get Joel McHale. That's apparently the one thing that Joel McHale can do is animal control and community, but not remakes of IT Crowd. We talked about that last week.
Can't get through that. Yeah, for anyone who didn't know, Joel McHale was doing a U.S. pilot for the IT Crowd. Go ahead now and feel as shocked as I was, because that was weird news. I did not know they did that.
Did a right.
Yeah, they did a pilot, never aired. It didn't get greenlit, but weird.
Yeah, no, I think animal control will maybe do something or maybe not, but at least they'll be aware of it. At least they'll give you you can feel like you've given it to the right people if you let animal control know about it. Yeah. And maybe they'll put up a sign, maybe they have signs made that say, "Warning, snake eggs."
Yeah. But I worry that 14-year-old will see that as an imitation, you know?
Right, it'll be exactly that that 14-year-old might have missed it had it not been for for the sign. I don't know. I still say that would be
I think you're right. I'm going to go down there. Here's what I'm going to do. Today, going down there after the show, I'm going to drop a pin on where I'm at, like exact coordinates. I'm going to call those guys, give them with the GPS of the location, and just say, there's a clutch of snakes here. I don't know, or eggs. I don't know if you guys want to do anything. And I'll just leave it to them. Because what else can I do? I can't take these home and put them in the tub and hope for the best. I'm not doing that. So I think I'll do that. If it's still there. Yeah. If I go down there and all busted up, either they hatched or a kid did a thing, and I don't know either way. I won't know.
Well, you might be able to see, like, if you see a bunch of snakes, like if the eggs are broken open and there's no snakes inside, then it probably happened naturally. If there are little snakes inside, then 14-year-old kid was probably a little dick.
Little bastard. This kid we've made up in our heads and don't even really know this kid. He is a bastard. Right. We hate him.
Aren't there? Somebody does point out. Yeah, Chris says don't discount the seagulls. I mean, birds do look for snake eggs, and some of them enjoy them tremendously, and that's nature.
Yeah, that's circle of life stuff right there.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't stop that. That has to continue.
Get Elton John on the phone because he's got to sing about it.
But for now, this fictitious 14-year-old kid will remain the enemy. All right, that's what's going to happen.
I like that we've already turned him into public enemy number one, persona non grata, basically. This fictional 14-year-old kid.
Yeah, he's going to the joint after this. They're going to come get him. Hey, Brian, I found something for you. I found you a Doc Ock rig, sort of, basically, kind of.
Really? Okay. I needed one of these, so I'm glad. Yeah, let me click that link.
Click this link. The headline says, this AI-powered robotic arm system is kind of like a real-life Doc Ock tech, and I agree. It straps onto your back like a backpack, and then you got these 4 big tentacle arms that come out of it. Look at that.
That's cool.
Right?
And that's like way better looking than those stupid, telescoping metal, silver, stainless steel arms that Doc Ock had. These look like the arms that your dentist uses to hold up lights and things like that above your face.
It does. It's like you're laying in a dental chair 100% of the time or something.
Yeah.
There's video of her messing with it. It's all a little too, I don't know, there's kind of a sultry nature to how she's working with these things. But
well, she's doing a dance. Yeah, she's like basically just doing a dance with these arms. But,
and I haven't read enough to know how the AI kicks in, but I assume it's like following her movements and then learning as she goes, and then could probably duplicate it. but it looks like it's
wow.
kind of useful if you were like someone with, I guess, I don't know, if you're paraplegic or something.
Yeah, because what is it using? Is it looking at her arms and using those to figure out? Because it looks like the one right now. I'm at the part of the video where she only has one of these robotic arms attached, and it looks like it's following the movements of her arm, meaning that it's watching what she does with that arm, which again is,
I don't know how it's watching.
right.
You know, like,
But what's the use if it's just going to mimic what you're doing with your existing arm?
good point. If you're paraplegic,
you can pick up 2 cans of Coke that happen to be 14 inches apart.
and now later she's hugging another lady who's wearing one of these.
Oh, is she General Grievousing hugging this this other woman? Like,
Kinda. Oh, that's very General Grievous. That's a good comparison. I like it. Let's see
can
one
you
of them
put
go.
lightsabers on all of these arms?
Suddenly come popping out. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I mean, obviously it's an experiment to show what's possible, I suppose, but I don't know what the use case is. But I thought of you because I'm like, well, Brian loves Doc Ock and, you know, he's a big Spider-Man fan.
I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I'm a fan of, like, give me some extra arms if I can use them for something useful, and these are both functional and creepy, so I'm doubly excited about them.
Can you imagine though?
I don't know if I'd use them while dancing in what looks to be a very expensive museum space. But
yeah, no kidding. With finally you've met the love of your life and that other lady who walks in, who's also wearing one of these.
Yeah, what time does that? Oh, here she is at 2 minutes 56 seconds.
Yep, she just enters the scene. It's like, oh,
she just takes one of the arms. Oh, did she just plop it? She just plugs it right on her own backpack.
Yep, just bam, you're in.
God, the expressions on these ladies, this whole thing is
killing me.
Just so
so
freaking mom and Sean's,
I
man.
think that's why I like Boston Dynamics robots videos, because they just get right into like, all right, he's gonna jump over some barrels and do some pull-ups, and you know, it's like practical stuff. And this one's like, la la la, check out my robot back arms. Ooh.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, could you imagine if the Robot Dynamics, the dog, they put that to this music and it just kind of slowly danced around the lab?
Yeah, it'd be way less impressive. I mean, they sometimes make the bipedal ones dance, but still, I'd like to see what they can lift and move for me. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Also, show a guy walking into a Denny's and sitting down to his grand
give me
slam.
give me some real case use. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see, like, all right, what happens? How does this work? Can she pick up something? Can she operate 5-6 keyboards at once?
Right. Can she be reading a book while these arms are grabbing new books at the Barnes and Noble for her to now check out next?
Exactly.
Yeah. Or, better yet, can this work as a automated checkout person at the store?
Boop, 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 boop,
yeah.
boop, boop,
Just going
paper or plastic. Hurry, because I'm doing both right now.
Yep. And it'd be really fast, and the girl wearing it could just read she could read her stories, with her real hands, and have to be bothered. We got this figured out.
Reading my stories.
Speaking of technology and big giant things that happened in history, Brian, what did you do this weekend?
I saw Oppenheimer.
What?
Oppenheimer.
Oh my gosh, it's the bomb and the whatnot. Tell us more.
Exactly, pretty much the bomb and the whatnot. It was great. The big thing, everybody's like, oh my God, it's 3 hours long. It did not feel like it was 3 hours long. That thing felt like a 2-hour movie, because it is so interesting and fascinating. I won't say it's action packed, because it's not. There's a lot of talking, and there's a lot of actors you see in this thing and you go, oh, he's in this too. Oh my God, she's in here too. Oh my God, wow.
Yeah.
TV's Travis is right. It's paced really, really well. It's every scene has a key element to kind of uncover. There's no throwaway, like, here's Oppenheimer just kind of going about his regular day. It's like, no, here he is with Einstein, and here he is with Florence Pugh, and oh my gosh, okay, well, that's that. All right, let's get on to the next scene.
Yeah, they had a sexy scene, I heard. Little Florence Pugh.
I have a couple of sexy scenes, yes.
Really? Okay, then. Hubba
yeah.
hubba.
Hubba hubba.
Did you what was I going to ask? I was going to ask if, I know it's a known quantity that he's in it. Everybody knows Robert Downey Jr. is in this, but he looks unrecognizable to me.
He looks unrecognizable, and we were talking about it with Barry last night, and he says, I didn't recognize him at first. That Barry said that he didn't. It wasn't obvious that it was Robert Downey Jr. first. I agree. It wasn't until he started talking, and you see, it's those lines, the wrinkles that he has coming down from his nose, down around his mouth, that for me kind of like, oh, that's Robert Downey Jr. Because otherwise, it's, it's
a different dude.
It's a different dude. He also, I think they, the 15 years of playing Iron Man, I think around the end of that, they kept making him look like he was the same age Iron Man as he was in 2008.
Yeah.
And maybe he aged a little bit during that time period with Marvel.
I think the last Robert Downey Jr. movie I saw, I think, was Endgame. I don't think I've seen anything else with him in it since then. What did he do between Endgame and this?
Gotta be some other stuff, right?
I'm sure, yeah. Like, if he stopped there, that would be
really
crazy. Maybe he took a big Tony Stark break.
I mean, he certainly could have, because it was so, he had done that for such a long time that, Doolittle. Yeah.
That's the only one was Doolittle?
That's the only one was Doolittle, yeah. Forgot about Doolittle, and
okay, yeah, because nobody liked Doolittle. Doolittle was bad.
Yeah. The Judge, that was so great. Forgot about the Judge.
I never saw the Judge. That's him and
it's great. And
Robert Duvall, was it?
Yes. And Billy Bob Thornton, and
I need to watch that.
Vera Farmiga, Vincent D'Onofrio, Jeremy Strong, Dax Shepard.
2014. Well, that was a while ago.
Yes. Now. It was a while ago. It was between Iron Man 3 and whatever was after Iron Man 3. Captain America Civil War?
Avengers Age of Ultron, looks like.
Ultron, that's right.
Yeah, that's a poopy one. We don't like that one. Anyway, well, there you go. Big thumbs up then, you'd say.
Big thumbs up for Oppenheimer. And okay, we didn't see it on IMAX. And there's a couple scenes is like, oh, that would have been really cool to see in IMAX. But only about 15 minutes, 10 minutes of the movie would be like, let's watch that. That would look great in IMAX. So I'd say you're fine seeing this on a regular screen theater. And if it makes it to streaming soon, you're probably fine with that too. It's really, really good.
That's
and
great.
It's one that you watch with no distractions, because a lot of information comes at you, and a lot of great silent acting, especially Cillian Murphy, man. Dude can just pierce you with those blue eyes of his.
He's great. I heard somebody say, it made me laugh because I was like, okay. But they said, I can't believe it took this long for this director and Cillian Murphy to work together. And I went, he's in like 4 or 5 of his movies. He's not the main star
exactly.
of them, but he's in them. He was in all kinds of...
Not see Inception? They were in his head.
Yeah. Did you not see the Batman movies? He was freaking Scarecrow.
Right.
Come on now.
Scarecrow. For even a little bit in the second movie, you see him like, tied up against a car.
It was a weird thing to say. I'm still not sure they were serious. It was a Facebook friend of mine. He's like,
oh yeah,
these two are finally working together. I'm like, dude, I can't.
Now, if only he could work with Tom Hardy, that would be, or Michael Caine. Maybe the two of them could get together, him and Michael Caine.
Yeah, finally get those two together. Why not finally make that happen?
Right. There was really cool. So again, Alamo Drafthouse comes through again, just making the whole experience better. The 30 minutes before the movie, it's always relevant but quirky stuff.
Yeah.
One of the things they showed was a Christopher Nolan, not really a primer, but like it was the hallmarks of Christopher Nolan or something like that. Like it was basically a here are the elements that make up a Christopher Nolan film, and they talk about the broken anti-hero. They talk about the quick jumps from different timelines, the going back and forth between black and white and color sometimes, the really long establishing shots, and then like all the actors who've worked with them multiple times. I don't know if Alamo Drafthouse ever puts these on YouTube, but they are fascinating. The ones before Guardians of the Galaxy, they had one for each of the main 5 members of the team, and it was the story so far as seen by Gamora. And so they go through like, Gamora meets up with the Nebula, and then her sister Nebula, and then they join with the Guardians, and then she wakes up and it's 5 years earlier. And
I think I found them. They are all on YouTube.
Really?
I'm going to go watch these. Yeah, they got like a complete Kubrick thing. They got
oh, nice.
They have a whole channel full of these. Let's see. Alamo Drafthouse on YouTube. I think it's the whole @ thing. So youtube.com/@Alamo Drafthouse.
Fantastic. See, that's good because those things are so well produced. Oh yeah, previously on Indiana Jones. That was the one. So good. They showed that one before, obviously before Dial of Destiny, and it's a great little, taking you through chronologically the history of Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, these are great. There's a whole how Jack Kirby created Marvel, the history of the Joker, 12-minute documentary. This all looks awesome. Oh, and they even do their Q&As. Like Nick Cage showed up to, do Q&As, so they film that. Well, I'm going to subscribe. This sounds great.
Yeah, what a great... if you can't get an Alamo Drafthouse in your state, in your city, then this is the next best thing.
I mean, I like me some movies.
Yeah.
I wish they were here.
Yeah.
All right. Dunaway time. We're going to play a game this morning. We're trying to award people prizes. Our goal today is to give away some shite. And I don't see any reason why a listener can't win some stuff. So let's do this. In fact, we kind of make it so everybody wins on this day.
Yeah, we do.
It still feels competitive, but nobody really loses, except Dunaway. He loses a lot. He's kind of terrible at this. Oh, he's right there. I shouldn't say these things while he's right there. Join us now for a little half-asses in the morning, and let's have our pal Brian Dunaway chime in. Hi, Brian.
Oh, hi, loser and Brian.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow. Right off the bat, the smack talk
hurts.
Oh, you don't think I don't listen? You don't think I don't listen to Scott?
Yeah, I think you listen. I think you listen real good. You're one of my favorite people to talk smack with because you coined the phrase smack talk all those years ago. And,
it's fun.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
That's what we do.
It's our favorite thing to do.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, I may have went too far in our film sack little chat the other day when we were talking about our pizza and its toppings. I felt the room get quiet.
Oh, really? in our little 4-person group?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the context. Group, yeah. What was the context? What was your take that was
I had gotten Waterworld on VHS, and I invited you over, and you said you'd be bringing the pizza, and I said no mushrooms or what was it, mushrooms and onions on my half.
Oh yeah.
And then you started mentioning toppings, and then we went all full on, baby.
Yes.
Yeah, the two things you mentioned I quite like, especially the mushrooms. So more for me, I guess. You can have your cheese.
Oh, I actually like the mushrooms.
Oh, you do? Well, then all right then.
I was playing a role, Scott. It was role playing.
Well, you did a great job.
RPGing.
Yeah, you did a great job. Yeah, you did a great job. Well, it's good to have you here. We're going to play this game. Brian Ibbett here will explain the rules and who could win what. Brian?
Okay. Welcome to the Morning Half-Asses, a trivia game where I'm actually going to be giving you 2 of the answers. I'm going to give Scott and Brian a category and 6 possible answers. 3 of those answers are correct, and 3 of them are like those last 3 minutes of Oppenheimer. Total bullshit. I'm just kidding. Depending on how confident you feel with the category, they can provide 1, 2, or 3 guesses. But if you guess any wrong, you get 0 points for that round. Get 1 right gets you a point. Get 2 right gets you 3 points. And get all 3 correct, you get 5 points. The player with the most points after 3 rounds wins the prize for their contestant, and contestants have been pulled from members of the Tadpool that aren't able to be here to listen live. Scott, you're going to be playing for Nicole in Vancouver, Washington.
Nice.
Brian, you're going to be playing for Tina in Moody, Alabama.
Moody.
Oh, Tina.
Moody,
Alabama.
Moody, Alabama. I don't know if that's the name of the city or if that's just a description.
Their state of being.
That area of Alabama is very moody.
Yeah. That's how they that's how they sign their dear whoever letters,
Yeah.
Like, oh, help me! I'm trying to find love here in Alabama. I just can't do it. Signed, Moody in Alabama.
Moody in Alabama.
Yeah,
yes,
I love it.
All right, let's get to this, and let's get. I feel like your confidence needs a little bit of a boost. So let's start off.
Please, God.
Nice and easy that you guys will have no problems with whatsoever.
Crap.
It sounds like I'm being sarcastic, but I'm really not. Question number 1. movies based on Stephen King works. So which of these are movies based on Stephen King works? The Fog, The Shawshank Redemption, Dead Poets Society, Misery, Jacob's Ladder, and The Green Mile.
Yeah, you're right. This is easy.
Yeah, it's lulling you into
now it makes me now I feel nervous about it.
Yeah.
Right, don't you? I know.
I've missed something.
Wait a minute, did Brian pull a fast one? No, it's just an easy 5 points, and I needed to get this card out of the way because it's just been sitting there. Yeah, all those are right. Shawshank, Misery, and The Green Mile. Durr.
Yeah. You know what? If you didn't know though, and you let's say you'd seen Shawshank and you didn't know that like the Dead Poet Society wasn't one, you might think it was because it's got kind of a similar tone.
Yeah. Yeah, and the ones they did, the fakers in here, The Fog, Jacob's Ladder, feel like Stephen King films.
The Fog definitely feels like a Stephen King.
Yeah, it's like The Mist.
Something similar to it.
Yeah, it's like The Mist.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
exactly.
And Jacob's Ladder is just like Jacob's Stool, written by Stephen King. Just kidding, I made that up. All right, Brian, go ahead.
Jacob's Stool. Didn't he just sat on that, or was it a sample?
Well,
anyway, let's get to question number 2. This one again, no problem for you guys. Wars named after troublesome animals. So six wars. Which of these 3 are real wars named for troublesome animals? Your choices are the Reindeer War, the War of the Stray Dog, the War of the Locusts, the Pig War, the Emu War, and the Alpaca War.
There's 3 of these are right.
3 of these are actual real wars based on troublesome animals.
Wow.
These all feel like they're wrong and right.
Right. Wrong.
I'm picking.
Some of them feel like bait.
I'm doing 2.
Like,
also, his use
2?
of the word troublesome is important here, I think. Troublesome animals.
Those albums are troublesome.
Yeah, because I don't feel like pigs are that troublesome. Maybe they are. I don't know.
You did 2?
I did 2, yeah.
All right. I'm doing 2.
Strategy. Okay. All right. The War of the Stray Dog. Indeed, that is a war. Is between Greece and Bulgaria in 1925. The War of the Locusts? No, not real. And the Emu War was Australia in 1932. Brian Dunaway getting 2 of them right.
That was the only one I actually knew.
You bastard.
The War of the Stray Dog was a total guess.
Wow. The Emu
and the
War,
Pig War. I thought that was the War Pig. I thought you were trying to get me on War Pig or something.
Oh, yeah. Generals gather. No, that's between U.S. and Canada in 1859 was the Pig War.
Wow. I didn't know it had a name. I knew about that conflict, but I didn't know it had a name.
What was all the kerfuffle about the pigs?
Yeah. Why'd they call it that?
I didn't Google that one. I Googled a couple of these, but because I want to know about the War of the Stray Dog. And indeed, it was a dog that crossed the border, got shot, and then started a war between Bulgaria and Greece.
I'm just going across the... Oh, no!
That seems like that not that long ago for Greece to be in a war with somebody.
Yeah.
You know, like if you just said that was like, well, that was 800 BC, I'd go, of course, they were always warring back then.
Exactly. No, but 1800s? I mean, I'm sorry,
1900, 1920 something? Yeah, that's
1925, yeah.
Crazy. All right.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the last one here. Scott, you are behind a little bit, 5-8.
Screwed.
With Brian with the lead. Let's go to our last question. Your last question is, Knights of the Round Table. See, I've got a son named after a Knight of the Round Table.
I don't know these at all.
Sir Tristan. But which of these 6 are other Knights of the Round Table? You have Lamorak, Percival, Galavant, Kristoff, Gaheris, and Naveen.
I should have learned this. I've never read much about the Knights of the Round Table, but I've always felt like that's something that I want to learn. Let's see.
Well, go read the excellent series Camelot 3000.
I actually have read some of the Camelot 3000.
Yeah.
I've actually read that, but that's been like since the 90s, I guess, probably.
It's been a bit.
Jeebus. That's been a minute. Yeah.
Jeebus is right.
I'm going to go with... Now, how many does Scott need to beat me? If he got all 3?
I'm doing 3.
He's 3 points behind, so he needs to get 2 correct to tie, 3 to win. Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to tie.
Okay.
Or maybe I do. Maybe I'd have a better chance if I tied, but I don't know. All right, we're locked.
Okay, you're both locked in. Look at you guys. You both honed in on Sir Percival. Absolutely, Sir Percival. Definitely a member of the round table. You also both fell for the Galavant trap.
That just felt so right. Galavant
You're
around.
probably
I was like, that's
thinking
a
of
thing.
Galahad, who was the actual knight, was Sir Galahad.
Who
Galavant,
bravely ran away? None of these, right? That was a fake thing. Okay.
Right, exactly. Galavant was a 2015 musical TV series on ABC, by the way.
I was just hoping that was like the reason why we had that gallivanting around or whatever it is. What does that mean?
Yeah. It just I don't know. But Kristoff and Naveen, both Disney princes. Gareth and Lamorak, actual knights of the round table.
Damn it. Well, you retained your lead then, and that's good, right?
Yep. Winner is Brian Dunaway, which means that Tina in Moody, Alabama is going to be getting the prizes. Her prizes are Alchemist's Castle, seems appropriate, and Guilty Gear X2, #reload.
Ooh.
Both of those coming to Tina in Moody, Alabama. But don't worry, Nicole in Vancouver, you're getting a copy of Symmetry.
Ooh, also very good. Yeah.
Games for everyone.
That's right. Well, here's my sound. And here's Dunaway's sound.
Congratulations. You're the winner.
Nicely done, dude. You I think you turned the tables. We're like tied up again or something. It feels that way. I don't know if it's true, but I think
it does. It does. I've had a little bit of a streak lately, but of course before that I had also a bad streak. So
yeah,
it's working.
Yeah, it's working. It's slowly working as you're twerking. And look at this. Wednesday, you're not going to be here because you will be here Wednesday. Wait,
I'm going to be here. Why am I going to be?
We just, you know what I'll do? I'll probably saddle Bobby with some sort of science trivia or something.
Yeah, make him come up with some science trivia because I'm not going to be able to come up.
Yeah, you don't need to do any of that.
I'm not doing a feud game.
I think Ibba should come up with science trivia.
We'll do another. You know what we'll do? We can't even use this thing while we do it, so we'll end up just doing kind of a thing. But we'll do it because you're coming that day, and I look forward to it because then that's a day I can beat you, you sad sack of garbage.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think I get free Wi-Fi
you're so
on the plane,
smart.
so I can listen live.
Yeah, you'll be able to hear it. Dunaway, kiss our butts, all right? Oh, he had no response. He had nothing.
Wow,
to say.
he just stormed off like a petulant child.
Just embarrassing, really. All right. How about some of this business? It's time for the news, and it's brought to you by
A Whopper Jr. at the exact right time.
This medication I'm on has a tendency to make you a little hypoglycemic. Means you're like feeling like you gotta eat or you're gonna faint.
Weak and
So yesterday, as it was kicking in, I was like, oh, I'm gonna die. And Kim's like, what do you want? I'm like, there's a Burger King, just go in there. So we go in there and they have two for $2.50. Or no, I'm sorry, 2 for $5. You can get the Whopper Juniors. So we get the Whopper Juniors. And man, did that thing hit the spot like nothing else. It was great.
Nice. I like a good Whopper Jr. Those
I do too.
Yeah,
they put
Burger
shit
King.
on them. They're like the same price as a McDonald's crap cheeseburger that has like a pickle, a little bit of ketchup, and meat on it. This thing has like lettuce and tomato and the whole schmear.
Right, and I'll be honest, a Whopper Jr. I don't need a full ass Whopper. Just a regular Whopper Jr. All I need. That's enough to satiate me.
Yeah, a big Whopper. I mean, not that I couldn't put one away, but you're right. It's too much. It's a big burger. It's too big.
Yeah,
and they have one
but
bigger
give me
than
one
that.
With cheese, don't be cheap on the cheese. I do want a Whopper Jr. with cheese, but that's
But make that cheese if you can melt that cheese, that'd be great. Because sometimes it's just a piece of cheese.
It's a cold piece of cheese on a hot burger. And it's slowly cooling the burger.
Yeah, I don't like that. It's like a little refrigeration slab on top of your meat.
Yes.
Anyway, let's move on to this story here.
Yeah.
Somebody posted a lingo guide. This is on Axios.com. A lingo guide for Utah stuff, and a bunch of people said, "Scott, you should do this on the show. Scott, you should do this on the show." I finally relented.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you right now which of these are accurate and which of these are not. All right, and why. Brian, if you have any questions about these, please say so.
I'm sure I will. So yes.
So this is what they said on Axios. As recently asked subscribers and social media users to send us words and phrases that are unique to Utahns and Salt Lakers, and you delivered, says the article. Let's see. For instance, the industry in Los Angeles refers to a movie, film, entertainment sectors. Okay, so when people say the industry over there, you know what they mean.
Sure, that's what it means. Okay.
Seattleites, people in Seattle, call their perceived cold shoulder towards transplants the Seattle freeze. I didn't even know that was.
I didn't know that one.
Never even heard of that. That sounds more like a hockey expansion team, but whatever.
Right. Did you give him the freeze? Yeah, I gave him the freeze. The Seattle freeze.
So here are the terms, and I have to admit, most of these are pretty dead on.
Yeah.
If you say the church while you're here, you're referring to Mormons or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You're not talking about anybody else. That's who you mean.
Right.
That's 100% true.
The church. It is just the church there.
Yep.
Yes.
And if Brian walked into town and I said, "Hey, Brian, are you a member?" Out of context, just forget about the word church. Just if I said, "Hey, is he a member?" It is an acknowledgement. Everyone knows you mean a member of said church. That's what you mean.
Gotcha. It's not like an Elks member or a member of the Jersey Mike's Shore Club.
Right. I mean, you might
5 sandwiches get one free.
You might, if you're at Jersey Mike's and they say to you, "Are you a member?" You will, you will in context know, right?
I wouldn't say no, sir. I'm not religious.
Yeah. I would prefer not to have missionaries come to the house. Sure. Thank you so much. Point of the mountain. This is 100% correct.
Oh,
this is the mountainous area that infamously separates Salt Lake and Utah counties. Whenever you talk at all about traveling on I-15, going either direction, you say things like, "How was traffic?" "Oh, it's pretty good up to Point of the Mountain, and then not bad after that." Or
really? Okay. Oh,
it's
interesting.
always a demarcation. It's the weirdest thing.
And that's going east. So like if you're coming from Colorado and you're on I-15 heading, driving past Little America on your way into Utah. So you'll cross that before you get into the valley. Right?
Yeah. So when you get to right before Draper and right after you've left Lehigh, there's this just little it's not even a big expanse. And Point of the Mountain, it's funny. It's not like a high mountain. It's like, in fact, most of it's been dug into because they use it for like construction material, like cement and everything. And so for whatever reason, it's just stuck. My entire life, that has been the point of the mountain, and that was a demarcation, and that everybody understood what you were saying. It's the weirdest thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
Here's one I don't know. The Red Snake. This is the trail of taillights ascending up Big or Little Cottonwood canyons on heavy snow days. Now, I know what those are, and I know what those canyons are, but I've never heard the term red snake ever.
No, but that's great. That seems like it could be used anywhere for some place that always seems to get busy. Like you could say, "Oh, man, we were going to go skiing this weekend, but God, we got caught in the red snake up in Vail or up to Vail."
Yep.
Totally makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, here's one. Scones. Not the triangular kind. This is a cross between beignets and fry bread. And is usually served with powdered sugar and honey. Absolutely, we have these and we call them scones. And if they're not scones, I don't know what scones are. This is what we call scones.
This is great because when I was a kid, there was across from the Oriental Theater in the Highlands area of Denver, there was a shop that sold scones. And it was this. It was really, really like a much softer bread that was dusted with powdered sugar, and you got a little thing of honey to dip it in. And these were fantastic. And then, I got older and you go to a bakery and like, "Oh, they have scones here? Great. What's this dry, crusty triangle that should be, it's like a popover that somebody didn't fill with something."
Yeah. It does seem like it should be filled with something, right?
It totally does. Yeah. But those old scones, man, I need to find a local place that does your kind of scones rather than the triangular, dry, crusty bread kind.
Yeah, because I will say, even though I think they're not technically scones from other definitions, they are really, really good. So there's that. Here's one that I absolutely know. Sloughing. This means skipping school. I don't know if this was true of other states surrounding us or not, but
sloughing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
It's like, dude, where'd you go?
Sloughing off school basically is what it
I think is where it came from. But you'd say things like, "Where'd you go?" "Oh, I slept fifth period." Is how you'd say it.
Okay.
All right. I don't know what everywhere else. What is it? Skipping or I don't know what else you'd say. Sloughing just sounds right to me. So I don't know what other word works, but I'm sure there's others. Here's a use case for it.
Okay.
Kim's sloughing in middle school forced her to enter a truancy intervention court program. And then it says after that, you'd ditch school too if you attended Payson Junior High. This is true. Everyone hated Payson was no one wanted to go there.
Really?
And you know
Okay.
what? Until all these years later, I don't know why. There's nothing wrong with Payson. They're fine. They're fine.
It's funny. Okay, it just got a bad rap, but people just said nope, don't need it.
This next one's wrong. Says the West Side. Maybe this has changed, but the Salt Lake City neighborhoods: Fair Park, Glendale, Jordan Meadows, Poplar Grove, Rose Park, and West Point, west of I-15. I mean, maybe in the 50s and 60s that was called the West Side, but that's before the whole actual West Side was developed. I live on the west, technically far West Side, like toward the other mountains on the whole other side of the valley.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, that was the West Side. So I don't know why they do that. This is weird. And then this one, the Zion Curtain. The partitions formerly required in Utah restaurants aim to hide the creation of alcoholic beverages from children. I don't know what that
we
is.
talked about this,
I don't know
right?
what
Didn't we
this
talk
is.
about-
I don't think so. Because when I go to like a pub brewery, you see the stuff, the big old tanks, and the guys in there working on it. And
Where was I talking about this? This was somebody about how they can't show you them making drinks, so they have basically a wall where the bar, like blocking you from seeing the bar. Who did we? Oh man, if I would have thought it was you and something like an old Utah thing, like
it might be older. Because it happened before I was old enough to even go to a place like this. But if I go to a bar now, they're just out there making drinks. It's like
interesting. Okay.
And like if it's like a bartender situation, it's like we just went to one. The whiskey burger place I like, the 571, whatever it is, forget the name of it. But anyway, they have a huge bar and they're back there doing their thing.
You see them making the drinks and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I don't know
I mean, it says formally required, so you know.
Oh.
I mean, I bet they meant formerly required.
Yeah, I bet it's formerly, because formally, I don't think is right. Maybe this law recently changed, and I don't know because I don't drink. I don't know.
Yeah.
But most of these are right. I'm surprised they didn't put things in here like fetching, which is a replacement for the F word you hear a lot.
Really?
Oh yeah, that whole bacon fetch
I'm not gonna
happen.
drink the fetching Merlot.
Yeah. Exactly. You know that whole thing where across the country people say stop trying to make fetch happen? It kind of happened here. It actually happened.
In Utah, apparently.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's others, but this is great.
That's a really funny one though. Like it feels like such the wrong.
Oh, it's stupid. It's so stupid.
It's like, that woman is so fetching.
You're like, fetching what? What is she?
Your mom's fetching right now, isn't she?
If anyone else out there has one that's like Colorado stuff, send it in. I'd love to contrast.
Yeah, I'd love to see some Colorado ones. Because I bet they'd be like, oh, I never even thought about that being a local thing until you see a list like this.
Right. And of course, this doesn't include, there's all kinds of different crazy foods besides scones. Like, you know, the shredded carrots and Jell-O is absolutely a thing here.
Oh, sure. Yeah. With something salad. What's it?
Just Jell-O salad, I think. Right.
I do have here. You ready? I think I found a list.
Oh, do it. Let's hear them. What do you got?
See, I have not vetted this list. I'm just going to give it to you unscanned. But this is the Uncover Colorado.
I'm ready.
And understanding local Colorado slang. So you've got food lingo, Colorado Bulldog. It's not really a
Colorado Bulldog.
Yeah, it's a really good drink. It's sweet though. It's like basically it's a White Russian with cola,
okay.
Vodka, milk, and cola.
But unique to your area, I guess.
I never thought about being that. I just thought they called it that because it's a White Russian, but it has Coke in it. It's a White Russian with Coke, basically.
Okay.
Colorado Kool-Aid, I would agree. Slang term for Coors beer. Yes.
Colorado
So,
Kool-Aid. That's great.
Oh, you can drink. Bring me a bottle of Colorado Kool-Aid.
Wow.
Denver omelet, again, not local vernacular. It's
no, we eat those here all the time. They're fantastic.
Yeah, there, get a big mouthful of the Denver. Denver steak. This is a bad list. Green chili, Rocky Mountain oysters. Let's see if we've got some better.
We have those. Anywhere with Rocky Mountains has the oysters. We know what those are.
This is a little bit better. A-Town is the nickname for Aurora, also affectionately called Saudi Aurora for its desert-like landscape.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I hope that's the reason it's called Saudi Aurora. I've never heard it called that, but I've heard A-Town. Basin, Breck, short for Breckenridge. BV for Buena Vista, or Buena Vista, it's pronounced. Cap Hill for the Capitol Hill neighborhood.
Cap Hill. I like that.
Cap Hill.
Yeah, I like that.
CBD, which is also the central business district of downtown Denver, where you can buy CBD. Oddly enough,
yeah, funny enough.
FOCO was just up in FOCO yesterday, as we mentioned with the folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say some of these are really just abbreviations for towns and areas.
Yeah.
Lungtucky for Longmont.
Longtucky. I kind of like that.
Lungtucky. Yeah.
Why though? Why?
Because of the trend of the people who lived up there for a while in the 80s, I think was. Yeah.
Kind of got a yeehaw going out there. I see.
A little bit of yeehaw. Yeah. Switzerland of America, which is the nickname for Ouray. I had no idea.
Is that a like a?
It's a town out southwest of in the southwest corner, Ouray. Never been there, I don't think. But I guess it's the Switzerland of America.
Probably a lot of Swiss immigrants there or something.
Probably some high mountains and some Swiss people.
We have that with this place here called Midway. It was founded by almost entirely Swiss pioneers who came from Switzerland and then pioneered out here and then set up shop. And now when you go out there, every other building looks like some kind of Swiss Alps looking construction. It's all very Swiss out there. And they have Swiss days where you go get cheese and weird chocolate and stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, there's a place in California just north of Los Angeles called Solvang. Speaking, I mean, I did the fetching Merlot joke. That was sideways, where they go to Solvang, and that's where they head out for all of their winery tour stuff in that film.
Was that before or after the unfortunate incident with the window on the car?
I think that's before.
Okay.
They end up in Solvang at the very beginning of the movie. Yes.
Okay, good.
Gaper is a clueless person on the slope standing around getting in the way, gaping.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or it's also more accurately used to describe the gape between a person's goggles and helmet, which I think is a gap, not a gape, but they spell it gape. So
yeah, because that'd be gapper, not gaper.
Yeah,
right?
It'd be a gapper. Granola, an outdoorsy, nature-loving, organic-fed, hippy-dippy, left-leaning person quite common in Colorado.
We have
you
those.
can find them in Boulder by the Subaru load. It's so
Nice.
true.
That one's dead on, right? We have those same people, but
dead
they're all in Park City is where they are here. So
yeah. Peak bagger, someone who climbs a lot of mountains, usually focusing on 14ers.
14ers.
Rastafarian. Yep, a trust fund kid that's a Rastafari.
What's a 14er?
14,000 foot peak, mountain peak.
Okay, so it's like a class of climbing. I'm like focusing on 14ers. Never heard of that.
Yeah, Tina climbed a 14er this weekend, but she didn't start from the bottom. But whatever, she got to the top, and I'm super proud of her.
Yeah, that's awesome. 14ers aren't easy.
That's what she was doing while we were talking about Edge of Tomorrow, by the way.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Colorado cologne is the smell of marijuana on somebody's clothes. That's good.
Colorado cologne.
Colorado cologne. Looks like you're wearing some Colorado cologne there.
Oh, that's great. They call Utahns mules for going to Vegas and bringing weed home with them.
Really? Mules?
Yeah. They're only muling for themselves. You know, they're not like hired by some
mules.
Cartel. They just go there.
Sure. That's it. Those are all the good ones from the Colorado list.
Well, there you go. What weird ones do you guys have in your hometown? Send us an email or a text and tell us. We'd love to hear about it. But for now, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, Bobby Frankenberger will be here. We're going to have a little science today. Woo! All right. Cool. So sit back and enjoy some Monday science after this song break that Brian will now explain.
Yeah, let's go to Portland for this one. And I haven't seen yet if it's the Portland in the Maine or the Portland in the Oregon. Judging by the band, I'm going to guess that they're the Portland in the Oregon because they're a little quirky. It's a band called Roselit Bone, and they have a brand new single. This is Crying in the USA from their new album, Ofrenda, which comes out August 25th via Get Loud Recordings. They are touring. And if you like Orville Peck, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Timber and the Gun Club, you'll probably like this. Here is the song Crying in the USA by Roselit Bone.
I'd like me a splash of whiskey to wash the trail dust off in my gullet and keep my singing voice in fettle.
I'm going to go testicle.
And we've returned. Tell me who that was again, please.
Sure, that's the band Roselit Bone from their brand new album Ofrenda, coming out this coming Friday. That's the song Crying in the USA.
Nice. Where else are you going to cry? Do it here. It's fine.
Yeah.
We don't care. We don't care.
Yeah.
You know how you were looking forward a little bit to the shit show that was going to be the Republican debates?
Yes, and now we're not going to get the big piece of shit to make it a shit show is not even going to be there for it.
Yeah, he's skipping out on all the debates.
Yeah.
He's not going to do it. He
I'm
who should not
curious
be
as to
named.
what that's going to do.
I guess Wednesday's the first one, I think. Is it?
Yeah.
That's crazy. We're this close to all that crap.
I know.
I'm not looking forward to it. I will be avoiding it all, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right, what are we doing here? We're adding someone. Oh, Bobby, duh. Like, get my Monday figured out. All right, here we go. Let's get Bobby in here. Let's get some stuff going. I feel like we've been deprived of scientific knowledge for long enough, so now's our chance.
Science!
Bob is hungry, and the soup looks good.
Well, what do we have here? It's Bobby Frankenberger joining us from South Carolina. Are you going to the meetup or no? I don't remember if you were going.
He is not, from what I hear.
Well, I heard that Brian Ibbett is going to be there, so I didn't want to.
You don't want to. I mean,
finish that sentence.
How do you want me to finish that, Brian? I didn't want there to be so much excitement that people lose their minds in the mountains.
Let's go with that. Let's go with that one, Bobby.
Yeah, that's a fine explanation. I like where you went with that. Well, it's good to have you here, though, and you'll be here again Wednesday with the co-host Seaton. So thanks for doing that ahead of time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I canceled all my doctor's appointments just so I could be here.
Yeah, all three or four.
Just push them to Thursday like Scott. I mean, that works.
I mean,
I can wait to do that chemo thing.
Oh, sure. No problem. Look, you're getting, what are you doing? Like old school leeches and bloodletting or something? Because you're a scientist, so you believe in those things. Yeah.
That's what my old-timey doctor told me we should do.
That's right. Get in there, get it done. Although my mom
he also prescribed cigarettes.
My mom is going to a guy right now who is having her do some form of this bloodletting thing.
Boy.
And I said, Mom, is it a doctor? And she very quickly said, oh, yes. And I said, are you? And before I could even say, are you sure? She says, well, I think he is. I think it's a doctor. And she's talking like this. I'm like, Mom, who are you talking to? And who is taking blood out of an 85-year-old? Anyway, I got to deal with this now. Well, anyway, you're here. It's science time. Let's talk about what's been brewing on your little petri dish that you've been holding on to since we talked last.
A little petri dish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got two things. I got a quick update from. I looked into. You remember we mentioned you mentioned water allergies, and I said that sounds like a bunch of hokum to me.
Oh right, yeah, yeah.
And then you gave me a link to what you were talking about, and so I looked into it more, and I thought I would share what I found with everybody. Because,
Please do. Yeah.
Because it is a thing. It's actually incredibly rare. First of all, that's why I'd never heard of it. Only it said what I read said there's only like between 30 and 40 cases that have been reported since the 60s.
Yeah. Oh wow. Like it's very, very, very small.
So it's like
percentage.
less than one a year. And it's just really, really weird. And it's not it's what I suspected, I guess, was right, that it's not a problem with the water. They're not actually sure why it happens, but so it's called aquagenic urticaria. Mm-hmm. And to aqua meaning water, genic meaning like cause. So like and urticaria is hives. So it's hives that are caused by exposure to water.
Right.
Apparently the features of it, the water can be any temperature. They're usually really small hives. The temperature thing is important because that's how they test for it.
Right.
And is that it has to be room temperature to test for it, because if it's cold or hot water, it could be a different hives reaction, like some kind of reaction to cold, or you can also have I forgot what it's called, cholinergic urticaria, I think, that can be a reaction to heat or warmth.
Mm.
But anyway, like I said, they don't know what causes it. which is weird. I mean, how would you figure that out, right? There's so few people.
Right.
And it doesn't seem to affect the 90% water that your body is made up of, or
right. So it's and there's some conflicting reports. So there's a couple of guesses as to what it could be.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and apparently at least one of the people, it would be so severe that when they drank water, they would their throat would close up and everything.
Jeez.
So I don't know how you deal with that.
Wow. Yeah.
Or at least it would swell up. I don't know if it completely closed or what.
Well, they do like intravenous for those people, right? They just have to.
I guess they would have to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they have to be on a drip all the time, and then you have to hope whatever you're dripping is the right saline mix of whatever, so it doesn't have the same reaction or the same rejection. I was reading a whole thing on this and watched a video of a girl who dealt with it, and that's how she was getting her hydration. She was plugged in all the time to a thing. What do you call it? IV.
Wow. Yeah.
Anyway, so
the couple of reasons they theorize or hypothesize that it might be happening is they think it's possible that it's a reaction, a water reaction with the sebum on your skin. Sebum is like the technical medical name for the oil gunk on your skin. It's not just the oil.
Keep cleaning off your phone to get the fingerprints off of there.
That's actually right. Whenever you leave fingerprints all over your phone and everything, it's all sebum, and it's not called just oil because it's got a bunch of other gross stuff in it too.
Why does it have to have such a horrible freaking name?
I know that is a very horrible name. Yeah.
Ugh. Sebum? Yeah. What's wrong with my phone? Oh, it's covered in sebum. I don't want anything to do with your sebum covered
Pronounce
phone.
it carefully.
Yes. Yeah, I've been sitting on this boat for so long. I got sebum.
Yeah, I like that. That was good.
Yeah.
But anyway, they think that the water might somehow have some sort of chemical reaction with certain people's sebum, and then the reaction creates some other substance that forms that gets absorbed by the skin, and that causes a histamine reaction or like an allergic reaction. Or that there's an allergen in the epithelial tissue, the skin tissue that gets dissolved by water. So it's like a water soluble allergen. So it's fine when it's just in your skin, but when the water touches it, it gets dissolved into the water and then absorbed into the skin.
Yeah.
And then that might be what's happening.
I mean, clearly the biggest problem with this is probably the rarity, right? Because it's hard to test.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, because you've got one out of 8 billion people a year, and you're like, oh, hold on a second, quickly, let's see if we can learn from this one person, and we won't see another one for however long we're going to see them, and I don't know how you test for that. Like, how do you ever get to the bottom of that?
You just got to. It's really, really careful. The hard thing about testing for it is that you can test for what's causing the reaction, but not necessarily. It's much harder to figure out what's going on underneath. Someone in the chat, Chris, said, is there any chance that it's anxiety-induced hives? I guess with some people it could be, because there is such a thing as anxiety-induced urticaria, and that's a whole nother thing. But they test for it pretty carefully. I mean, the test is pretty simple. Actually, they cover your arm or a part of your body with a thing that only exposes like an inch by 1 inch square, and then they just put like a wet sponge on it for 30 minutes.
Just a regular old tap
water,
right? Just like tap water, or do they do distilled?
Yep.
Or how? Okay,
they probably do distilled. I don't actually know. I would think that they'd want to do that just in case, like just to rule out additives in the water,
iron
stuff like
or
that.
whatever,
Yeah.
rust.
Yeah, you don't want to have as pure a source, I assume, of water to get the best possible results. Otherwise, you're in Flint, Michigan, you can just put tap water on somebody's arm.
Yeah,
you can't trust that.
Right. No
offense, Flint. So, it's not your fault. Anyway, continue.
But that's it. So I just wanted to update people because it turns out that I was my scoffing skepticism was my skeptical toolbox was tuned a little too high. I suppose I should have.
Well, it can happen, right? Like if somebody says to you, "I heard people can be allergic to water," and your first reaction is probably the right one.
And to be fair, you did say it in a very thick Southern accent. So.
Right. But I knew
it did come from a Facebook post from an Ella.
I mean, the thing is, I knew I had read it, and I knew I felt like I was going a little crazy because I the way you're reacting, it was like, well, wait a minute. It's not that I didn't read this. Where did I see this? And then, so I'm glad to hear that there's at least some about it. But this explains why it's. I mean, it's just freaking rare. Nobody has this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to briefly talk about today was it's a little bit of a plug for my show, but I don't feel bad about that because that's kind of why I'm here.
It's totally fine.
But not last week, but the week before. We do this every other week now, right? So normally every week I get a chance to say, hey, this was on my show. So, but I didn't this past time because last week was Steven
Schleicher. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but last Monday we had an episode come out that I covered some science that was being published. That's kind of a one-of-a-kind study that was done. That was a group of researchers that are working with Meta, the Facebook, Instagram, Meta, and they gave them access to a ton of their data, and are letting them run not just data analysis on it, but also they did a couple of experiments to answer questions about social media and echo chambers and how it affects things, people's political outlooks and political opinions.
Right.
Because that's a big question now, right?
I think Tom Merritt brought it up on a DTNS, and I didn't hear the whole thing, so I'm excited to hear the whole thing. You probably got more.
And I've got a brief. They did 4 papers there were 4 published papers. There's actually going to be, I think, 12 or more that are in the works right now, but they just published 4 of some really interesting ones. And I'll go through quickly there's a lot on if you want to hear a real detailed digging into this, then check out the episode that I did 2 weeks ago and on all around science, and I really dug into this. But the real big things, they had a couple of questions that they wanted to answer, these papers that were published. The first one, it talked a lot about, or what they were looking at were questions about how segregated. One of the things that people talk about is that your Facebook feeds are very segregated.
Yeah.
That you're only seeing specific things, that you're in these echo chambers, that you're only seeing things from like-minded individuals, and how is that polarizing us as people, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the question. How are we getting polarized? And so we have intuition about that. Like, what do you guys think? Your intuition tells you that what? How are social media algorithms affecting our polarization?
The assumption is that it's affecting it greatly, but I'm pretty sure what this data is. That it just makes it worse, or if somebody's on the fence, some of that may push them over said fence. I think that's what our natural inclination would be, because it's it is divisive language and it's divisive action, and it's got all the hallmarks of an emotional response on both sides of the issue. So I think that's not crazy to think that. But I'm guessing this data is showing us that you were already kind of in the slot you were in, and this didn't make any big difference, is my guess.
Maybe a little bit. There's as with many things in science, when we start to dig into these questions and really try to get evidence for what's going on, it's complicated, for sure. But you got to start there. We want to have the actual data that's going to tell us what's going on, so that we can then ask more questions and really get a nuanced understanding of what's going on. So, but yeah, you're right. The intuition is that if an algorithm is showing us the things that we want to see, then it would be curating it into such an extent that we're only seeing things, because you can also block people that make you upset and all this kind of stuff. Then eventually you're just going to end up with a bunch of people saying all the same thing that agree with you, and you're just going to have this distorted view of the world, right? Mm-hmm. That's the assumption. Sure. So what did they find out? So the first paper looked at segregated feeds and basically just asked the question, how segregated are our Facebook and Instagram feeds? When they say segregated, they just mean what type of information are you being exposed to?
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
They did find out, no surprise, that segregation does exist on a conservative liberal spectrum politically. Basically, these two groups of people, conservatives and liberals are engaging with different types of political news. That's what they mean by segregation. They're not engaging with much of the same type of stuff.
Right.
And it did find that conservatives are more segregated than liberals. Now, this is not a political statement. This is us saying that. It's just that's what they found. And this is, to me, the interesting thing of that paper was that the majority of news that was tagged false. So because Meta, they've got their own like software behind the scenes that identifies things that are fake news. It's false, right? It's not It's not trustworthy information. So a majority of the political news that they found that was tagged false was viewed by conservatives, and it's important to know that that's still a small percentage. It was only like 0.2% of the total content being viewed. We can get sort of like a distorted understanding of what that means. It's still a really small amount of stuff. But that's what basically it's true. Yes. Our news feeds are becoming segregated. That we can say from this data that they looked at. You're right.
That to me seems that part seems obvious to me. It's just a matter of whether they're whether it's actually creating exodus from either side.
Yeah, and a lot of this stuff is going to confirm some of our intuition, but there are some surprising things in here, I think. The next question they asked was, what effect so it looked at the algorithm, right? A lot of people blame the algorithm, and I think it's fair to. It makes sense that this would be causing weirdness in what we see. That algorithm that we're talking about didn't used to exist, right? Yeah. It's a relatively recent thing in social media. It's not new by any means, but it hasn't always been there. It used to just be chronological feeds, right?
Sure.
And so what they did was they wanted to say, because some people say, what if we just go back to chronological feeds? Wouldn't that solve a lot of these problems? Because Facebook isn't just feeding us what we want, or what will, maybe not even what we want, but what will get us to click on things and spend more time on the platform, right?
Right.
So what they did, they actually tested, they did an experiment on this one. They looked at 23,000 Facebook users and 21,000 Instagram users. And what they did is half of these people on each platform, they switched to instead of having the algorithm serve them content in their feed, they had a reverse chronological feed, which is just the latest posts get fed to you on your feed.
Top,
and from the top, the most recent is at the top, and as you scroll down, you're going backwards in time, and that's it. Everything reverse chronological.
The thing everybody says they want, by the way. We should point that out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is an interesting one because, they did find that a reverse chronological feed, users who had that did spend less time on Facebook and Instagram, which makes more sense. They spent more time on other platforms as well. And that makes sense, right? The whole point of the algorithm is to keep you engaged with their platform. So if you don't have it, you would expect people to spend less time on there. So that did happen. Also, the reverse chronological feed, this is the interesting part, I think, to me, and maybe unexpected, is that people who had the reverse chronological feed actually had their exposure to untrustworthy sources increased.
Okay.
So they were more exposed to untrustworthy sources.
Is it that the algorithm that feeds you popular posts gives you so many that it decreases the number of non-factual posts or
maybe?
Yeah, it basically just there's enough crap that it just pushes all the other crap down.
We could speculate why that is. It's probably a large unknown because a lot of these algorithms are just black boxes. Don't really understand what's going on behind the scenes. But I think my speculation might be that somehow through the way this algorithm works and through maybe crowdsourcing of some kind, because the algorithm isn't just, I don't think, looking at only your behavior. It's also kind of trying to guess what you would be interested in based on people like you. Right. And it probably is somehow crowdsourcing some of that untrustworthy information and not serving it up because in general, people don't engage with it as much. Maybe it's more obvious than we realize how untrustworthy it is. And if it's not going through that algorithm, if your feed is just showing you stuff that people post in order, then you're going to see it whether people engaged with it or not, right?
As long as it's some recent bullcrap, then you'll see it. Yes.
Right. And so that's potentially a problem. It's at least something we want to be aware of if we're thinking about doing that, is that, yeah, you might spend less time on the platform, but you might be seeing more stuff that's untrustworthy, right?
Right.
Another question that they asked was, what if we limit how much resharing that people see on the platform? So we know what resharing is. Someone shares something and then you share it again, right?
Right. Sure. Yeah, I assume that's what, like repost, retweet, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what they did was this was another group. All of these papers were different people. There were 23,000 Facebook users, and half of them had reshares completely removed from their feed. They did not see reshares at all for 3 months. And then they looked at what happened to those people, and they found that untrustworthy content was actually reduced by a whole 1/3 when they did not get reshared content. So a lot of that stuff is being reshared.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's so if you, by removing reshares, the ability to see reshares, you reduced your exposure to untrustworthy content. But importantly, also political content in general, and political news specifically was reduced by quite a bit as well. So the exposure to political news was reduced by half, by 50%, just by getting rid of reshares. Wow. And that ended up decreasing people's news knowledge, which means that they had less ability to distinguish between events that actually happened versus ones that didn't.
Are you surprised
that to me makes sense too?
Yeah. Right. Are you surprised it's taken this long for us to start doing this with this data? Or maybe it's always been.
No, I'm not surprised that it's taken this long at all, because all of that data is proprietary.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons this is such an unprecedented and first of its kind study, is because this is the first time that Facebook, or rather Meta, has made this data available for free to researchers at universities to do stuff with. They had to sign a lot of agreements and everything, but
right. And this isn't just some company who's trying to monetize this data. This is like for research purposes.
Exactly. And that's an important distinction to make. Some people are really skeptical and or at least, have looking at it sort of side-eyed and squinty, because they're like, they haven't quite forgotten about the Cambridge Analytica stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a different thing though. That was not just free institutions having free access for research purposes. There was a lot of people were involved in deciding how this was going to get done and who was going to get access to it and everything.
Right.
Also, all the user data has been scrubbed from all this, so it's just like behavior data. It's not. There's no user data associated with it.
Oh, that's good. So this is just like how people are interacting with threads or whatever it may be. Okay, that's interesting.
Right. The last interesting one that they looked at was the question of echo chambers, which is what if we deliberately broke up these echo chambers? What would happen? They did another sort of intervention experiment. They looked at 23,000 Facebook users again. Half of the users, you might be wondering why 23,000 every time. It's not necessarily the same people. It's just when researchers design an experiment, they have to pick a number to give the results power. Power is a term used in statistics, and so they actually decide the size of samples usually ahead of time. So it could be that they're all just using the same statistical models.
But it's potentially a different 23,000 every time for each of these different tests.
Yeah. So they looked at 23,000 users. Half of them had all types of content from like-minded sources reduced by 1/3. That's a mouthful. Just basically know that half of these 23,000 people had the amount of like-minded stuff coming in their feed reduced. All right. And they wanted to see what would the effect of that be. And they did measure that, by the way, there's a pretty well-known, reliable way to measure people's political leanings that psychologists and sociologists use. So they just used one of those tests. It's pretty valid. It's been validated over time and everything. So
Right.
it's pretty
You've already
reliable.
got it. Why do it? Why you don't need to reinvent the wheel on that. That makes sense.
Yep. So the first thing they did was just look at all of the data and see how much. They just asked the question: how much of an echo chamber is there really? How often are people being exposed to content from like-minded sources? And they found that the median Facebook user has half of their content coming from like-minded sources, and only 15% of the content that they see is coming from straight up what they call cross-cutting sources from the other side of the aisle.
Cross-cutting. So
Yeah.
not necessarily. What's the opposite of like-minded? Basically, things that they don't necessarily agree with, as opposed to just blanket nonpartisan kind of information.
Yeah. The other percentage there, I guess, what's that, like 35% is coming from neutral content.
Okay. Gotcha.
Right.
That's a good way to put that. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. 20.6% of users are getting more than 3/4 of their content from like-minded sources. So at least a fifth of all users are getting almost all of their content on their feeds are coming from like-minded sources. So that's a description of the echo chamber and what it looks like.
Well,
right?
I mean, because that's what they've it as designed, though. That's what algorithms are meant to do, right?
Not necessarily.
Well, because if all you want is if all you want is like cat videos, and you spend all your time looking at cats related stuff, you are going to mostly get cat related stuff.
Right.
Algorithmically, not the reversed chronological, but algorithmically, You're just always going to get those. Not always, but most of what you'll get is that. So it seems the same would be here. If all you were interested in is, shit posts from from somebody you agree with, well, then you're going to get a lot more of that, right?
Right. But presumably, though, because these are random users that they looked at, and they don't have user data on them. So presumably we're getting a random sampling of people. Some people are not engaged on Facebook just for political content, but they're still gauging where they fall on the political spectrum and figuring out what type of content are they exposed to. So I don't really engage with political content on Facebook, for example, but I can almost guarantee you that most of the content I see is probably people that agree with me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not because I've curated it that way. In fact, I often try, like, I deliberately don't block people for other reasons. But so it's not necessarily that it's only giving it to you because you want it. It's the algorithm doesn't care about the specific content. The algorithm just cares about, presumably, I'm not an expert or anything, but presumably the algorithm only cares about what's going to keep you on Facebook, right?
Right. I would assume so. Yeah.
So anyway, what they did look at, though, is if they cut that half of the users and they reduced the content on their feed from like-minded people, what would happen? And so they found out that it increased their exposure to cross-cutting and neutral content, which, again, you would expect that, right? If you're getting less stuff from like-minded people, you're going to get more stuff from other people.
Sure.
But it also reduced their exposure to untrustworthy content and uncivil content, which is good. That's a good thing, right?
You want that stuff getting blocked as a plus. Yeah.
Yeah. But here's an interesting thing. Their overall engagement with like-minded sources decreased. And that makes sense because they're not getting as much of it. But the rate of engagement with those like-minded sources increased. So what that means in plain English is they weren't engaging with as much like-minded content, but when they saw it, they were more likely to engage with it than they were before.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, that feels
so
like
what does that mean?
Yeah.
Who knows? Like, what does that mean for behavior? This is just a description of what's going on and what happens when you make these changes. Tons more questions need to be asked. And an interesting thing about all of these, I just lumped it all together here in a summary because rather than say it all each time, which is that none of these interventions that they did had any measurable impact on their political polarization, their ideology, or their attitude.
Yeah,
it didn't change people's minds at all.
That's the part I remember from Tom's thing is it seemed like the impact is not what you logically would expect.
Yeah.
Because our logic brains go, oh, it's so dangerous. These guys over here saying these things, that's really going to erode and whatever. And that seems like a valid theory to me until you look at the data and the data says, well, not really. If you came into it with a certain mindset, you left with the same mindset. You didn't change your mind. If anything, you dug your feet in deeper, right?
But what else could this mean, right? Like maybe we know that people are more likely to engage if you reduce the like-minded content, they're more likely to engage with the ones that they see. Does that mean, and this is total speculation here, does that have implications for getting people riled up and fomenting, like uprisings and stuff like that, like political action? Who knows? I would like to see, rather than just changing people's minds politically, I would think it would be interesting to see more research done on how these types of interventions affect individuals' mental health. Like maybe anxiety about our political landscape gets reduced, right?
Right.
It's also interesting to note what we said before, that people seem to be, when they don't have this information coming across them in these ways, they seem to become less informed about politics. That could be a bad thing too. Our democracy works if we know about what's going on, right?
Yeah. Data, information, and real data, whatever you want to call it, is helpful no matter what the situation is. So that's
right.
I love
so
this
how
kind of
can
thing.
we do what some of these did? How can we reduce exposure to untrustworthy content while keeping the same or increasing their people's intelligence about the news, their awareness of what's going on?
Yeah.
Right?
Someone's going to write in about this, I'm sure, but somebody somewhere's got a mother-in-law or a close relative, right, who prior to this sort of stuff being prominent on the internet or even the internet itself, okay, they're older, whatever, they're going to say, well, my mother-in-law didn't go crazy until all this stuff started showing up on her Facebook feed. And then she started reposting it and then posting about it and quoting it and blah, blah, blah. That's probably true. But what this data seems to suggest is she came into this prone to this, meaning she glommed onto that because that's already where her brain is. And she's
that's exactly my thought, because I don't think you can look at things that happen on social media and the way our behavior changes over time. I don't think you can look at this chronology of events and see cause and effect because of how new of a technology this is. So what I also know about how political stuff has been all over social media over the past 8 years. What also has happened over the past 8 years is that my grandparents figured out how to use a smartphone, right? So it could just be, like you're saying, it could be that 8 years ago, grandma figured out how to get on Facebook for the first time, and that's what you're seeing, right? Is that they're already kind of inclined to engage with it in this way, and it's just they've gotten better at engaging with the platform. So it's hard to say. That's why experiments need to be done rather than just looking at what's happened over time, because there's too many factors and variables that you can't isolate.
Feels good that there's something's being talked about like this, though, like some research is being done.
I'm really interested to see what we're going to find out more now that a lot of this data is being shared. It's also I think they need to do more of it, for sure. This was all data that was shared, it was like September to December of 2020 or something, right? Like right when everybody is very engaged in a very specific way politically because an election's going on, right? And in the fallout of an election.
Right.
So
I wonder if Twitter/X would ever cough up this data for someone to work with. It doesn't feel like they would.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with over there anymore.
Yeah.
Are people really calling it X now?
No.
Yeah. No, they're calling it X Twitter, or what I saw somebody, maybe it was Engadget, combine it as Twitter.
Oh.
Like they XWITTER, which I don't know how you pronounce it.
That's more like Quitter.
Twitter. It is kind of Quitter.
Yeah, it's a little bit Quitter, which isn't that too crazy. But yeah,
kind of funny actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There was, there's always something to get weirded out by over there. Their recent Elon Musk recently saying they're going to get rid of the block feature. And then he turned around and blocked a bunch of people who were mad about the block feature going away. Those kinds of things are, I'm starting to see that most of that stuff is there. It's all designed to get people flipping out, which drives engagement. Like that's why you do it.
Have you guys ever watched? I think Brian, I know you have. Have you watched The Great?
Oh, I love The Great. The Great is great.
Yeah.
Kim and I binged that whole thing. It's awesome. Great show.
When I think of what Elon Musk must be doing when he goes to work every day, it reminds me of Peter of Russia.
Yeah,
just
right.
He just walks in and he's like, something happens right in front of him and he's like, I'm just gonna kill everyone.
Right, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, there is.
Or how about we just make this illegal now?
I honestly think I'll make a prediction. 1 year from now, okay, end of August next year, let's come together again on this show and see if I was right. But I think within a year, he either tries to sell it or steps out of it entirely and lets somebody else run it. That's my thinking.
That's what we need to do. Is we need to have like a quarterly check in on Elon.
Yeah, kind of bring back forecast. I see what you're saying. A quarterly check on Elon. I was thinking like a quarterly prediction thing, but I like that too.
We can do that too, but I'm specifically like what's going on with Elon Musk in Twitter.
That's right. Yeah. It's time for your monthly Elon update. Elon did this. And
it's
did
Musk
this
Monday. Musk Monday. That's not bad.
Because when we were surviving the 4 years with Trump, every step of the way, you kind of like forgot how far you'd come, right? Like every once in a while, you'd be reminded of like quaint things that happened 4 years ago, or it was like, oh, remember when Obama? It was a huge controversy because he was caught smoking on the porch at the White House.
Right.
Yeah. He had a brown suit on, or whatever the deal was.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's what I feel like. Maybe that could be happening with Elon and Twitter. Like it's so crazy what's happening. What have we forgotten was wild before?
Well, that's the problem. Is we will always find. I personally, it makes me feel manipulated because I don't think any of this stuff is actually, I mean, he may be a world-class pud for all I know, but I really do think most of this is to rile everybody up. And by riling them up, what do you do? It feels like this data is actually going to help prove that, or this research that you've been talking about for the last half hour, because at some point, when you just come out and say something outrageous, what was the goal? The goal wasn't the thing you said. The goal was to get a massive boost in engagement, and he gets it every time. So it's not any different than any other loudmouth on the internet. They all get the engagement they want by saying something that seems crazy and contradictory. And it's taking me a while, but I think I've finally seeing it for what it is. I'm just like, F off, all of you. All of you are manipulating us.
Yes.
It's just constant manipulation, and I don't want to be a sucker anymore. I don't even think that's like a what's the word I'm looking for? I don't think that's like a conspiratorial stance. It's not a conspiracy. It's just people know how to do their business. If they're making money stirring up garbage, then I have my answer. Right. They don't believe in anything they're saying, nor do the people that are hyping it. It's all just a chance to go and pump it. Pump and dump. I don't want to be pumped or dumped anymore. All right? My new goal, no more pumping. Well, maybe a little pumping, but no dumping. Well, no. You know what? I'll dump once a day.
There you go.
Pump a couple times a week.
Sure.
An occasional pump. You don't want to do that too much. You might go blind. So.
No, you don't want to pump all the time. Gosh dang it.
No, jeez.
This has been very interesting, as always. And if you want to make sure you stay interested in cool science facts and neat things going on in the science world, check out All Around Science, which you can find wherever you get your podcasts. Bobby, anything else you'd like to mention before I kick you out?
I think I've gone on long enough. This was almost as long as a film sack segment, so I should be... that was a little razz at the film, not film sack. You know what I mean? The
recommendals.
recommendal segment.
Oh,
Yeah.
recommendal.
No, I like that. A little jab at the old recommendals deal.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong either. We'll have a fantastic time. We'll see you on Wednesday for a little co-chair business, and be safe in the meantime. Bye now. All right,
I'll leave a scone on the seat here in the booth for you there, Bobby.
I don't know if I trust a seat scone rather.
Seat scone.
Seat scones.
It'll be in a bag.
Oh, you'll put it in a nice. Yeah,
I'll
you
put
would
it in a nice bag.
Yeah, you're not gonna leave it out in the open. Come on.
God, I really want to find one of those old style scones.
Does that sound
British
good?
scones.
Sounds really good right now.
I guess that's the difference between a scone and a scone, right? Like, a scone is your beignet style dusted powder sugar honey business.
Mm-hmm.
A scone is your, it's pumpkin season again here at Starbucks, so here, enjoy one of our dry cake scones.
Yep. Now, that makes me wonder if Starbucks does anything different here because of the...
I doubt it, because it's not like they're made somewhere else, like they're made there in Utah.
No.
They're made in the Starbucks Slurm plant.
You're not wrong. It's coming from some massive plant. There's no way that they care.
In Seattle, there goes another 35,000 dry scones out to ship them out to Utah to put in all the Starbucks locations out there.
The days where they were a cute little place in Seattle that was slowly growing are gone. That's gone now.
That's right, exactly. Claire, it's not that scones are an autumn thing. It's that's when Starbucks trots out their pumpkin scones.
Correct.
And and they're not as good as what I would say are scones. Those
they put that pumpkin crap on everything and call it fall. That's what they do.
Yes, exactly.
So welcome to America.
Yeah.
This is America.
Can't wait for my pumpkin spice flavored liquid death drink. It's gonna be great. Can't wait.
Oh, it's coming. It's got to be.
Yeah.
I had one of those yesterday, but it was the mango low
it
calorie
feels like
one.
they're immune to that sort of thing. Liquid death is not going to kowtow to the pumpkin, big pumpkin.
If anything, they'd make fun of it somehow,
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I love those guys. Okay. Let's move on to this. Oh, check this out. We got a request for you. Mm-hmm. This is from Nick in Flagstaff to round things out today. Request for Brian to come to Flagstaff. Hey, Brian, road trip is the issue. Come to Flagstaff. There are several breweries, distilleries, a bar with multiple pinball machines, lots of bike paths, and the Grand Canyon is just a couple of hours away. Nick from Flagstaff. Wow. You going to put that on your list? You going to go through there?
Possibly, yeah. I think Arizona would make sense, I think. Going, Vegas, then Arizona, then Flagstaff potentially, or Phoenix, or I don't know if I know
Phoenix.
Yeah, but then over into Los Angeles. I was talking to I talked with a lot of people about this weekend, not just the folks, but also the Fletchers, who've offered a place to stay when I come through Illinois. Mm-hmm. It's I don't know. It's shaping up. It may not happen this fall, like the original thought was October. It might be in the spring, but I don't know. It'd be a blast. I'd love to do this.
Yeah, what do I want? I want stories. I want stories at the Fletcher. I want you to stay at the Fletcher's, and then I want stories.
Like seeing what it would be like a day in the Fletcher house. Like,
right.
Oh my gosh, that seems like it would be an interesting thing.
Yeah, when the
is
Fletcher...
it as funny as we all assume it would be between Christine and Scott? How
when Christine has a successful trip to the bathroom, Scott Fletcher says,
"Congratulations."
That's a little weird. Right?
That is a little weird. Expect an email from Christine, by the way.
shitoutofluck.com@gmail.com.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, Nick. If you guys have any thoughts, feelings, comments, questions, whatever they may be, send them to themorningstream@gmail.com, or you can text us at 801-471-0462. Quick reminder that a bunch of you folks are patrons at patreon.com/TMS, and we love you for it. But if you are not one yet, there's no time like the present to hop in. You want a commercial-free feed? I know you do. You want those couch parties on the weekend? We just did another one. You'll get that as well. Mm-hmm. Not having that this weekend, but that's because Brian's traveling.
Little break from She-Hulk for a week.
For a little bit there. Art in the mail, other benefits. It's all there. It's all in plain English, and you can translate it for other countries. So go just check it out. Patreon.com/TMS is the place to go. Go do that today. Brian, you got anything else before we go today?
I got nothing else. Yeah, that's it. It's another successful Monday. Yeah. We got the Monday out of the way, which is nice.
Yeah, it does feel nice. I agree with you.
Off like a Band-Aid.
Oh, yeah. One other note. I received a code from a game developer for a game called Ship Graveyard 2. Wait. Ship Graveyard. Is that the full name? Let me get this right because I don't want to say it wrong.
Okay.
Ship Graveyard Simulator 2.
Okay.
But basically, they put big giant boats, like fish boats, all the way up to big carrier type things.
Yeah.
On a big hunk of land. And my job is to go out there with a huge hammer and a bunch of other tools, blow torches, and tear that thing apart and sell it for scrap and fulfill contracts. And
it's basically the water-based version of the space thing that you play.
Very much so. I think that's why they sent this to me, because I think I talked incessantly about Hard Space Shipbreaker. So if you are wanting to see some of that in action, I'm going to be doing a little chore core today at noon on the live feed here on YouTube. So go to frogpants.tv if you want to watch it, and it'll be on the archive as well for those who are listening later. But if you want to watch me break up some ships and sell it for cash, today's your day.
Excellent.
All right, let's get out of here.
You know, and I'll tease a thing too. I think we're gonna have a soundography episode going up today. Let's see if I can figure out from my list who it's gonna be. Is it Woodstock or the Bangles? Might be the. Let me see. Let me see what the most recent episode is, because I missed last week's getting it.
I like them Bangles
here.
Though. They're pretty good. Them Bangles.
They're pretty good. Them Bangles. They're very entertaining with that whole Susanna Hoffs. Bangles went up. That was the last episode to go up. So it looks like it will be Woodstock. We talked about Woodstock '94, the actual event. So
nice.
Should be interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. All right, let's get out of here. Speaking of music, let's play this.
Like we didn't already record it. Like what am I?
Yeah, it never even happened yet, but then it will.
Yeah.
Exactly. A song here though. Do a song here.
Sure, Brian, not me. Brian Skojums wrote in and wrote and said, "Dear Symphony and Ballad, my mother Joyce passed away from cancer on Midsummer's Day, and wanted to honor her birthday on the 21st of August. That's today. She was a music teacher from Buffalo who moved to Sweden and started a music program at the school she worked, which then spread to almost every school in southeastern Sweden. She loved performing shows, and the final project for every class was writing and performing their own musical. She always accompanied every concert and show on the piano, and I thought she would like something piano forward, but dealer's choice. Love your mom. Love the show. Signed, Brian."
Oh, she sounds awesome, though. What a cool thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Brian. And again, sorry for your loss. And sorry I made that noise like right at the beginning of your email in hindsight.
Yeah.
Let's get to request. Billy Joel was kind of the first thing that he suggested there. And I went with a cover of Billy Joel's Piano Man. This one, here's what's really cool about this. This one starts out very similar to the original Billy Joel Piano Man, but it kind of goes in a different direction, more orchestral and much more, like fuller, richer sound than you'd expect. So I think this kind of speaks to her talents and her developing, the Final Class project being a musical. It feels a little like the coda of a musical. Here is Rough Silk and their cover of Piano Man from their album Wheels of Time.
That's going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back tomorrow for another show. We'll see you then.
Get more at frogpants.com.
A what?
A what?
A what?
A what?